Hello, lovelies. It's been a little while, but it's so nice to see you again. First of all, my name is Joanna, and I'm the designer behind Mojo Stitches, and I'm back with a lot of things. It has been a little while, and my sincere thanks to all of you who have left a nice message, wondering where I was, and sending kind thoughts. They have all been read and appreciated, if not replied to yet. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I've not been well, so schedules are all over the place. Things are sort of running a bit behind, but we're getting there. So I just wanted to thank you for all your kindness. Anyway, I'm back today with new releases for Needlework Marketplace, which is on this weekend, and a bunch of other things that I was meant to do a video a couple of weeks ago, and getting everything ready, it's just taken its toll. So here am I, we're going to have a long video. I hope my tablet has enough storage to hold it. If we suddenly break in the middle, it's either because I needed a bit of a lie down or my tablet did. So come back for part 2 if that needs be. Thank you so much, everybody. Where should we start? I don't even know where to start. First of all, forgive me. I'm doing some unconventional filming today because I'm filming on my bed, because it's literally the only place I have enough room to actually put out everything that to show you. Because not only am I prepping for market this week, I'm also in the middle of moving house, and everything is, I know, good timing, wasn't my idea. Everything's a bit chaos, and I figure since I'm sitting on my bed, that technically counts as resting. So we shall pretend this video is resting, and we can multitask. So grab yourself a cuppa. I hope you have something nice. I have you can't see the bunny on this thing. This is my bunny coffee cup, because bunnies. I have my version of an energy drink, which is a dirty chai. So that's a cup of chai with an extra shot of espresso in it. Because on few days before market, there apparently can be no such thing as too much caffeine. So I have that. I am ready to go. I'm surrounded by things. We'll see if I can get through it and not majorly forget anything. First of all, it's been a little while. I had a whole set of releases I had planned to do a few months ago, and I wasn't well enough to put them out. So forgive me for those of you who've been waiting and wondering where I was. I appreciate your patience. We're back. I have 5 new releases for Marketplace, and 2 of them have 2 patterns each. So we have some new things to show you. They're not the patterns I originally planned to do for Marketplace, but I think it's actually turned out for the best. So I shall show you all those shortly and have a little chat. But before we get there, there's some other things been going on that I've been excited to show you. The first was a retreat that happened in July in Hobart by the lovely Kerry Lynn, who runs a Stitch in Time in Hobart. She put on a Christmas and July retreat and asked me to do one of the retreat designs, which is always a big honour. And she wanted a Christmas Biscornu, because she's on a mission that there aren't enough Biscornu patterns, which I quite agree. So she wanted a Christmas one. So I came up with this design that is called, how can we show you the best? Here we go. That is called Reindeer Dance. It's got little reindeers on and little Christmas trees and little snowflakes and things. It's like traditional Christmas thing in a Biscornu pattern that's a bit wonky because I need to reattach it there. It's just been through a retreat, so it needs a little bit of tender love and care. And it's got a little pattern on the back. It's stitched in the beautiful Cottage Garden threads, the bookshelf range, and the pattern is exclusively available from Kerry Lynn at A Stitch in Time. I really enjoyed putting this piece together. I hope you enjoy stitching it. I love the little reindeers. I think they're super cute. I don't know if you can see terribly well from there. My camera's looking a little bit blurry. Forgive me, I don't know how to fix that. I'm too tired to fix that. You're going to have to bear with me. Anyway, that's Reindeer Dance. If you're looking for some early Christmas stitching, that's from Kerry Lynn at A Stitch in Time. It looked like an absolutely wonderful retreat. She does a wonderful retreat, Kerry Lynn. And yes, Hobart would look like a wonderful, cold place to be in winter and pretend it's Christmas. Now, after that, I had a big thing come out a couple of weeks ago that I hinted at in my last video. You might remember, those of you who watched, I was doing a secret project that I ended up with a very, very, very short deadline to do. Well, the secret project has come out. For those of you that are familiar with a very big Australian magazine called Homespun Australia, asked me to do a design, which was a lot. And it has finally come out. It's in the August-September issue. That's what it looks like there. That is available from every newsagent in Australia and a lot of the supermarkets. So it's kind of like, no. And I was asked to do a pattern, and the pattern I did is called Hakea Heart. Hakeas are these beautiful flowers here that are like little pincushions. And in it, I've also done beautiful little zebra finches, which are one of the birds that like to feed on the hakeas, and some little native bees, and this lovely heart in the middle. I haven't got the original of the model to show you because the magazine still has it. I hope I get it back one day. Because it was a really lovely piece to put together. It has photographed a little dark. It is a little brighter than that. That always happens when you print things. And for those of you who would like to stitch it, this is available in Australia and New Zealand. And I think there are some ways to download it if you are overseas, legal ways. Google it. There will be a way. If you know if there's a way to Google it from to download it legally from overseas, please leave a comment below and let people know. Other than that, I will be able to sell the pattern after the magazine is off the shelves, so that will be in October. And I have it stitched in the bookshelf threads that I did with Cottage Garden threads, these beautiful, beautiful colours. And I have thread packs like this, the full skeins, and little sorted thread packs with plenty to stitch the design. If you would like them in my Etsy store, which will be up and running again, hopefully tomorrow. I had to take a little break for a retreat I went to last week that I'll tell you about in a moment. But yes, hopefully it will be up and running again tomorrow. After a retreat, you have to do a complete stock take and everything, so it's a lot of work. But yes, I have the thread packs, and I also have custom cuts of linen for it. Beautiful linen and Ada. I stitched the original on 32 count antique ivory. I had such a short deadline. I didn't have time to get, anything from the wonderful dyers I usually work with. But for the pieces I have available in my store, I have some of Jay's X Stitch Beautiful Week Tea, which is one of my favourite 32 count custom cuts. So they'll be up on my Etsy store too if you want to stitch Hakea Heart. It's a fairly quick stitch. I think I did 2 over 2. Yeah, I did 2 over 2 on 32 count. You can, of course, stitch it on a higher count and it will be tiny and beautiful, I hope. It was a tremendous honour to be in such a wonderful magazine. It's a sort of multi-crafting magazine, so there's quilting and embroidery and crochet and all those kind of things. And to be included was very special. So I'm in a magazine. Forgive me, it hasn't really sunk in yet. It was kind of a lot. Oh, I feel like I'm rushing. I I'm on market mode, and it's all I can see are to-do lists that are like 17 pages long. So I think in my brain I'm trying to just, okay, we're going to get through that. We're going to get through that. I'm going to try and slow down a little bit because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So let's just take a moment to breathe. I can forget to do that. Maybe you can forget too. Perhaps I shouldn't have too much caffeine, but we'll see. So those are new designs, not market designs, but new designs. And the other new design secret project that I've been working on also came out this week because I was attending the wonderful daisy chain stitchery retreat in the Hunter Valley, which is where a lot of vineyards are. It's about 3-4 hours from where I am. And this is the second one that was put on by the lovely Teresa from Daisy Chain Stitchery. It's Teresa Craig from Flosstube, one of the OG Australian Flosstubers. You might recognise she started up a store last year and she started dyeing fabric, and this is her second retreat. And I was lucky enough to go to the first one as well. This is the second one, and it's just one of the best retreats that I've been to. Teresa, who is just a little bundle of joy, has that amazing skill to be like super organised but relaxed at the same time. Like I'm rarely either, so to be able to manage both at the same time, I just find hugely impressive. And she just does the most wonderful retreat. And it was just the most glorious weekend. And a big hi and a big thank you to everybody who was there. It was such a pleasure to spend time with you and to see all your beautiful work and to just be so inspired. I haven't been out and about amongst other stitchers for far too long. So I can't tell you what a joy it was for me to spend time with you all. And luckily enough, while I was there, Teresa asked me to do the retreat design and to teach a few classes as well, because one thing that a lot of people mentioned from last year was that they would like to, learn some new skills and learn things, which I think is great. I always learn so much from everybody at retreats. So I put together a design. Teresa said she would like a little ort tray, and I'd never done an ort tray before, so I thought, okay, let's do an ort tray. And she gave me some of her gorgeous fabric to stitch on. This is the beautiful colour called Daisy Chain, which is perfect, that I use for the design. And it's just the most lovely, buttery, warm, golden neutral. So it's fab. You can get it from her shop, Daisy Chain Stitchery. This is really good to show on Flosstube, by the way, Teresa. Good thinking. Anyway, the design I did is called the Daisy Chain Ort Tray. And that is the design here. Again, it's stitched in the beautiful Cottage Garden Threads, the bookshelf range that I did with Cottage Garden Threads last year. And I put together this little ort tray. It's got embroidery on the back with little lazy daisy stitches. And I also taught them how to do the finish. Now, when I went to design this, and this might, we might make this available. If you'd like to see this, let me know. Yes, when I sort of looked into doing ort trays and things, most of the tutorials that I came across, you need all this equipment and measurements and quilting rulers and sewing machines and little plastic gun things to put the corner bits in. And I'm not a numbers person. I know this is strange with cross stitch where you have to count. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a measurement person. I like to do things by eye. That's just the way my brain works. So I came up with a finishing technique that I think is much easier. And as, we were doing the classes together, people seem to really like. Oh, and before the retreat, I sent the kits up to Teresa. And she was she started stitching it straight away because, you know, running the shop at the retreat, you don't have time to stitch. So she started stitching it straight away, which was such a compliment. And then she sent me a photo like 2 days before on Instagram, a little message going, I did it. And she followed all my instructions and made up her own. So clearly it works. And I was really impressed that there's actually an easier way to put these together. It does make a fairly soft auto tray rather than the real stiff ones. That's kind of what I like anyway. You can just pop it in your project bag and it's easy to go. And it doesn't involve, I think there's like 1.5 measurements. Anyway, I'm going to work out how I can film it. Sorry, I'm trying to take my slippers off because I'm too hot now. I started talking because I got nervous. So I'm going to take my fluffy slippers off that you can't see off camera. Anyway, distracted. We're back. I've got to work out how to film tutorials and things so that I can show you guys how to do this because I think it's actually come together really, really well and really easily. So that was the retreat design. I'm really looking for... A bunch of people almost finished stitching it while they were there. I was like, Speedy, really impressive. So I'm looking forward to seeing them start sort of popping up on social media, and shout out, and again, to everybody who was there. My sister came with me. She's my transport and my helper at retreats whenever I can. My sister lives about an hour away from where the retreat was. She's a stitcher too, and possibly the busiest person I have ever met. And sort of our retreats, she gives me a hand and brings me coffee and reminds me to eat. And we get to spend a little bit of time together, and she gets a holiday because she gets to sit and stitch for a couple of days, which she never gets to do. So it works out really well. And we were driving home on the last day and reflecting on, like, we couldn't think of another place where you go and absolutely everybody is indescribably lovely. Like, stitchers are just the best people. So thank you again for your time and your kindness. And it's lucky my sister is there because I get quite overwhelmed because, you know, I spend most of my time alone in the quiet, and then you go somewhere where there's 80 people and it's all super exciting, and I get quite overwhelmed and can sort of like barely function. I did a really good thing, which shows you that that's a good reason they don't let me out all that often. On the first night, I was so distracted and so kind of like it'd been such a wonderful day, and I was like overstimulated and all this stuff. I walked out and I left my handbag there overnight with my phone and my purse and money and my whole life. And we got back to my sister's house like an hour away and realised this is why I need to bring a helper because, you know, clearly I can't function on my own. It all ended up being okay, but, you know, this is why I stay at home most of the time. Anyway, we survived. Classes were really fun. I got to see everybody else's lovely designs, which is my stitching, which is my favourite bit. And I get to learn so much from everybody as well. So big shout out to everybody who was there. And there were a bunch of, a couple of other designers there as well. I know one other designer, I'll tell you about in a minute. It's really exciting. And some other lovely, talented makers there too. I did walk away with a little bit of stash, which I'll have to show you just a little bit. But before I go, a special thank you to Anna from at the Delusional Princess on Instagram, who gave me this beautiful thread keep from Tasmania. And that's not the first gift she's given me, and she knows what she means. And big shout out and thank you to Anna. And to everybody else who was there and just so kind and so lovely. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. I haven't slept. I don't know where I am. At the retreat, of course, we could see all of Teresa's lovely fabric, which got completely demolished before I even got a chance to get to it. I did manage, she did gift me this one lovely piece, which is a colour called taupe, which is beautiful, a lovely mottly brown neutral, which thank you very much, Teresa. I'm looking forward to using that. It's absolutely beautiful. So I went back through my stash and found some of my others of hers just to show you, because I couldn't get them at the retreat because I was too busy. This is a wonderful one called Peachy Keen, which is a lovely peachy kind of, got a lovely kind of peachy neutral, which is really unusual. So I look forward to using that. That goes back in the bag over there. Ooh, move that. Okay, this one, oh, that's pretty, is called Buttercream. Look at that yellow. I hope you can see that. It's awfully pretty. Awfully pretty. I like yellowy neutrals generally more than sort of colder neutrals. I kind of like the warm ones. I think I think they're my favourite. So that's a really beautiful one. And this one is called Provincial, which is a fabulous kind of browny grey. Reminds me a little bit of Extra Designs Old Linen, but perhaps a little darker. Really, really love that. It's beautiful. Really, really pretty. So that's Teresa from Daisy Chain Stitchery. She designs fabric under Whoopsie Daisy Designs, which I love. They're available on her website. If I can remember, I will leave all the links in the description below. But just Google Daisy Chain Stitchery and you will find her. Now, also, we were spoiled with fabric at the retreat because we also had the wonderful Lisa from Paddock Lane Designs, who was there with her new designs and lots of her beautiful fabrics. Now, I'll tell you about her designs in a minute, but let me show you the fabric first. Look at this beautiful, beautiful brownie pink colour. This is called Sunburn Country. I adore this. Now, Lisa is the designer that we're putting on our retreat next, the Stitching in the Mountains retreat coming up in October. So I was happy to grab some of her fabric because I'm working on the retreat design now. So these are some of the options that we have. This one is called Prim. Again, it's just a lovely, lovely warm neutral. My favourites. Oh, look at this green. Look at this. This is called Eucalypt Forest. And it's that perfect kind of grey green that we have in Australia with all the beautiful leaves and things. So there's that one. And this one is called Moon Jelly. Now, I don't know why it's called that, but I want to know because there's a story there. It's a lovely sort of slightly mauvey grey neutral. It's beautiful. I think that one might be the contender for my retreat design that I'm working on at the moment and having a lot of fun with. It's going to be really special. Drink. Now. Oh, Lisa's Designs. She is debuting at Needlework Marketplace. That is on this weekend. Lisa from Paddock Lane Designs. Again, if I can, I will leave the link below. And she's debuting her designs internationally for the first time, which is a really big step. And I know how scary it is to do that. And they're absolutely wonderful designs. She's done a beautiful one with a great big kangaroo, which is just fab. And then two others. One is a beautiful little alphabet sampler with beautiful flowers and everything on. And the other is a set of bee sayings, like little smalls that have like bee words on them. And they're fabulous. She's done such a great job. So I'm just encouraging you to support her. It's a lot to put yourself out there, and we really need more Australian designers. So big shout out to Lisa. Do go out and check out her work. I think they're really something. So go, Lisa. There were two project bag makers there, one of whom isn't ready with her contact details yet because she's just getting started. So when I will save that up and show you for next time. So keep in touch, Tessa. And the other was the lovely Taryn from Teaser Handmaids. I know. Blackbird. Blackbird. I nabbed a blackbird bag. Look at this. It's a great big one. It's beautiful. This is the wonderfully talented Taryn from Teaser Handmaids. She sells on Facebook and Instagram. And that is the name there. Teaser Handmaids. I just don't want to dox anybody. Again, I will attempt to put the links in the description box. Otherwise, Google Teaser Handmaids. You will find her beautiful project bags and grime guards and all those wonderful tools that we just can't live without anymore. And yeah, Blackbird. I was impressed. So that was my haul, because you got to support other makers and designers and things, and it's just so lovely to actually see all these things in person. You know what it's like. I don't have an L&S nearby, so to be able to speak to all the talented makers and to be able to see all the beautiful things in person, it's terribly tempting. So I should have talked longer about that, but I've got too much to get through. So thank you again to Teresa for putting on an absolutely wonderful retreat. I have some photos. I'm still behind. I'm still yet to post on Instagram. I will hopefully be able to do that today. And a big thank you to everyone who attended. You made it. You just made it a delight. Yeah, okay. Marketplace releases. I did release pictures last week. Forgive me, it was all running terribly behind. To be honest, I almost pulled out of the whole thing yesterday. For those of you who don't know, since Needlework Expo wasn't going to be on this year, which was a bit of a blow to all of us, we kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? Bobby from, I think, she has a store. It's like Stitches and Bobs and things or something. Forgive me, Bobby, I've got that wrong. I will add in a link to that. Brain not working. Bobby has taken over and started Needlework Marketplace, which is a similar kind of thing, different platform, but same kind of thing. An online trade show, which is kind of like, a Nashville market, but online, which for overseas designers, those of us outside of the US, is like the most important way to get your work seen by stores. And so I have been working really hard to get these designs ready for you. I wasn't sure I'd be able to make it. And then yesterday I was just feeling so overwhelmed. I thought, how am I going to do this? And then I saw everybody's lovely comments on the new designs and I thought, I can't disappoint you. So I'm pushing through. We shall get through it. And I'm so excited to be able to show you some pretty things and to share them with you. So please bear with me and with your shops. I will endeavour to get all the orders out. I normally try to get them out within a week, but depending on how I can manage, it may be very slightly longer. My apologies for that. I'm doing the best I can, but I have more limitations than usual, so we'll get through it. I love chai. Okay, designs, this is what you want to see. Where do I start? I have 5 designs. 2 of them have 2 patterns each. I'm trying to give you as much value as possible. I know times are tough. So I really appreciate those of you who make a pre-order with your stores, and for shop owners, if there's any watching, I'm so grateful. I know it's a lot to get things from overseas and to take a chance on new designers, so I'm enormously grateful. So these are actually not, only one of them was a design I had originally planned for market. I have a bunch of others that I had planned, and because of my health, I had to kind of put aside. But I actually think it's turned out for the best, because I'm really pleased with what I've got, and the reception seems to be quite good. So I'm hoping that you will love them too. Now, the first is an adaptation of a little antique sampler that I had in my collection, and that I actually included as part of the retreat design for the daisy chain stitchery last year. I did a strict reproduction of this little sampler that I'll show you in a moment, and I just wanted to. You'll see the antique is like terribly wobbly, terribly wonky in the borders. So I thought, I'll just add a little bit to it, just to make it even prettier, since it's such a special piece. I have called this On Kindness, Jane Whiston 1818. And it just has, for those of you stitching and not looking, the sentiment says, "The kindness that my friends have shown, oh, teach me to repay by double kindness of my own in every future day." Now, after the humble sampler, I thought we really needed that one. Now, the original that I will show you here is very, very plain. It has the beautiful sentiment and a very pale blue Greek key border. But the corners are like completely messed up, which I understand, because if you're trying to get your corners in a Greek key pattern to meet without, designing it first, just doing it on the fly as you go, you haven't got a chance. I couldn't have done it either. So I just thought, I know a lot of people don't like wonkiness, so I thought we'll make it just a little bit neater. And I wanted to add this border, which I've done. It has forget-me-nots in it, which are for remembrance, and anemones for gratitude. And I just thought that brought everything together really beautifully. I have stitched this on 1/2 on 32 count platinum. I did it quite large because it fits in a standard size frame. But you of course could stitch it smaller on a higher count. And I used a palette of the bookshelf range of Cottage Garden threads that I did my fabulous collaboration with them. A beautiful black called Hearth, a variegated blue called Morrison, a soft smoky blue called Austin, a light olivey green called Wolf, and a darker olive called Wingback. Now, these thread packs will also be available through Marketplace. I have a limited stock on hand. The rest can be back ordered, and they will be available from my Etsy store as well. So don't panic if you can't get one straight away. I think it came up so beautifully, and that's only with one strand with these ones. Cottage Garden threads pack so much colour. It's really impressive. You can, of course, use two, make it brighter if that's your preference, and you can, of course, stitch it smaller, again, if that's your preference. I thought this would be such a nice piece to do to celebrate a friendship or to give as a gift. It's actually not a really big stitch. It's all full crosses over 2. The date is full crosses over 1, but you could always just leave that out if you didn't want to do the over 1. It's fine. And it's got a couple of Smyrna crosses, but that's all. It's super easy, super quick stitch, and an absolutely lovely gift that I thought that you could give to somebody. So that is On Kindness, which we all need more of. Now, the thread pack for that also contains enough to stitch the next design, which I've called Pennsylvania Prims. That just shows you what they look like in a little bowl all together. It contains this uses 2 colours, Hearth and Wingback, a darker green and a lovely soft antique black. And this is just a little set of smalls that I actually only put together like a week ago, because I just found these beautiful little antique fragments. These are from an estate in Pennsylvania. I don't have any more information about who stitched them, except that they were Pennsylvania. So I've called them Pennsylvania Prims. And I just love the simplicity of them and just the poignancy of those dates and what they meant to the stitcher, whether that was somebody's birth or someone's death, we don't know, or just, you know, when somebody got married, who knows. I love the poignancy of that. So I wanted to do just a little reproduction of those, just in little, really simple little pillows in those. And again, they're full crosses over 2 except for the dates, which are over 1, and they're exact reproductions, those ones. And I just thought to round out the design, I would add 2 other little pieces. One is a little Remember Me, because I thought it's a lovely way to remember all these unnamed stitches that we learn so much from, would be to remember. So Remember Me, and then one of the other motifs that I made into just a little pillow. Now, these are really quick stitches, all full crosses over 1, except for the dates. You could stitch them bigger or leave them off. And I think in one of them, there's a couple of elongated cross stitches, but that's all. Super easy to stitch. These are stitched on 32? Yes, 32 count Russian Caramel by Number 12 Stitch Co. on Etsy, the lovely Nicola. This is such a lovely fabric, one of my favourites, a really, really rich golden sort of neutral that are just fabulous and that show the colour of the cottage garden thread so beautifully. I use these 2 over 2, and yeah, really quick stitches. Again, something that's very easy to do for a gift or for a retreat set. If you're doing a smalls exchange, although let me tell you, some people's definition of smalls is quite different, because the work that people did for the smalls exchange for daisy chain, it was incredible, honestly. It's so inspiring. I also thought these would be nice if you wanted to do some black stitching but weren't into the super Halloween kind of stuff. So this is a little black stitching but not super Halloween. I hope that makes sense. Nothing against Halloween things. Like I said, it's just not a big thing in Australia. So I thought that was a way that we can kind of join in, but without being, so Halloween-y, if that makes sense. I don't have words, man. I need a rest. Okay, bear with me. We're getting through it. I will have, of course, photos of the antiques and everything up on my blog. There will be posts on all the new releases. Hopefully before you get your hands on the patterns, just bear with me. It's a lot to get through and I'm doing my best. But yes, all the information will be up there. Oh, and of course, with both those designs, the charts have DMC and over-die conversions as well. I have DMC conversions on all of my patterns at the very least. That's really important to me, so don't worry. You can always use what you have in stash as well. I mean, I recommend the cottage garden threads if you can get your hands on them because they're fabulous. But there's always DMC conversions. Particularly with this, you really just need a dark green and a black, so that would be easy. You could also use a different colour too if you wanted to do it like blue and black or something. That would be interesting. Have a play around and see what you think. Or grey and black if you want to make it really, sort of really, really prim, or like brown and black or something. It's a good idea. I should have had a play with that. Okay, so that is first 2 designs. Third design is a set of 2 that I did for a retreat last year, and were a shop exclusive. Again, Carolyn from A Stitch in Time asked me to do a piece for the first kind of big retreat that she'd done, and my first big retreat as a designer last year. And I think I went a bit overboard and I did something a bit too big, but I just couldn't help myself. This is a design. I have combined it with a small that I did as a companion piece. And the big one was a shop exclusive to Carolyn for a year. So now, and a big thank you to Carolyn for that. It was such an honour to design this for the retreat and to do. And yeah, thank you. And to everybody at that retreat who stitched it and shown me, you've done a wonderful job. And again, it was such a joy to meet you all there and to go to Hobart for the first time. So anyway, I get to release this now to everybody, and I get to have the model back as well because Carolyn had it in the shop, and which is always a great honour. But it is nice to have it back because I miss my models when they're away. So I have combined these two together. They're called Two from Tasmania. That's the cover there if you're looking for it. But the first piece, the big piece, this is actually called Tasmania After the Fires. Because what I did, since that was kind of like the first time after the pandemic that we kind of all got together, I wanted to do a design that celebrated kind of regrowth and flourishing and all that kind of thing. And part of the Australian environment is that after bushfires, which they had, like we've all had a few years past, a lot of the life cycle of plants and animals in Australia actually require bushfire for certain plants to germinate and for the animals that feed on those to flourish. So I did a design all based on native Tasmanian animals and plants that flourish after a bushfire, or endangered ones that flourish after a bushfire. And I was hoping it would bring some flourishing to us all. So it's got all these wonderful little plants and animals on it. It's got native orchids and Banksias and little Tassie devils and these little birds here in the middle. These are, I've got a blog post up already with all the plants and animals on it that I should have checked before doing the video. I think they're Cape Barren geese. I can only remember the colloquial name because the little Tassie devils like to feed on them sometimes. So I did them running, and then I got down to the retreat and Carolyn said, do you know what we call these down here? Because you just see them running all the time. They call them turbo chooks. Chooks are what we call chickens, right? So they're turbo chooks. So I did them running without realising, and I just think that's hysterical. Anyway, I was so proud of this piece. I wanted to do something that was like a traditional band sampler, but that was, modern and Australian. Although I'm hoping lots of my overseas stitchers who liked my Quakers will like this one too. It's something different and unique. And again, it's stitched in the most gorgeous Cottage Garden Threads palette. Some of them are from my bookshelf collection and a lot of them are from other ones as well. And I just think they come together so beautifully. This was stitched on 36 count bush tee by Jay's X Stitch on Etsy, which is a lovely, lovely warm neutral. Again, perfect to show off these colours. It's an Australian kind of colour as well. So go visit Jay. And this was stitched before the bookshelf range. So what I have done is swapped out a couple of the original colours for a couple from my range because they're even closer to what I originally wanted. Now the colour's a bit pale in here today because we haven't got sunlight. I hope that's giving you a good look of what it's like because I'm really proud of this one. So I've swapped the black in that for half. So that's going to be a little bit softer than the picture. I have swapped DMC Ecru, which I used in there for my colour page turner. So that's going to be a little bit smokier. If you would like a brighter look, use the DMC Ecru, but that's actually, I think, going to be even better. And I swapped in Foxing for a colour called Apricot that's hidden in a lot of these little bits and pieces. And these little burrowing crayfish, which hide underneath the button grass, which are really fun. Now this has full crosses over 2, French knots, and some of my long back stitches. Now to show you the placement of all of those, like you can see in these Banksias, I've got lots of these long back stitches that show the furriness of them. And up here I've done that as well. To show the placement of them carefully, I have printed this pattern in colour, which means it is more expensive than the other ones. Colour printing is insanely more expensive. So to help offset that, I have also included the companion piece that I did for this design, which is called Tasmanian Tiger. Now, those of you Australians know that the Tassie tiger, which is my favourite little cryptid, went officially extinct in the 1930s, but people see them all the time. People report that they see them all the time, and I've always kind of hoped that they're hiding out there somewhere. So this is my little Tassie tiger that is hiding out there somewhere. And there are actually scientific programs, that's not the word, but I'm too tired, you know what I mean. Scientific endeavours to actually bring them back from extinction because they're an important part of the ecosystem. So we might get Tassie tigers back, which for me is super exciting. Now that uses the same palette as for Tasmania After the Fires, and both patterns are included in colour in Two from Tasmania. So I hope you enjoy stitching them. Like I said, I'm really proud of those. I had originally planned to have another Australian design out for market and just couldn't get it done in time. But I'm actually really glad to be able to give this its moment because I'm really super proud of this one. So, anyway. I hope you enjoy stitching it. Oh, tag me in it so I can see. I'm super excited. And I hope you love the thread pack as well. It comes in a little bag like this. It's got 10 colours in it, this one, and they're absolutely stunning. I've used a lot of the ones that have the heavier variegation in them so that you can learn how to use them. And they give... Again, I have a DMC conversion and an overdye conversion for them, but they're not exact because these ones are quite heavily variegated, a lot of them. The conversions are not going to be exactly the same. Still going to be beautiful, but not exactly the same. So you can see just by stitching in a straight line across here, you get that beautiful movement from the variegated colours. It's just stunning. And using it for these back stitches and things, like it gives... such a sense of realness, but you know what I mean. They look authentic. They look like actual flowers that you would see out there, and I just adore it. And it's wonderful to hear more and more feedback from stitchers saying how much they're enjoying using these threads and learning the new things that they can do with them. And we have, a lot more to come. My tablet seems to be creeping down, so we'll see if we can keep it upright. Okay, I've got to keep going before my tablet dies. The next one was a bit tricky. I found this absolutely beautiful sampler. I love alphabet samplers, but I've had so many people say, "Oh, I hate alphabets. Oh, I hate alphabets." So I wasn't sure about this one, but in a little preview that we kind of just had at Daisy Chain, people absolutely loved it. So I have, again, this is a double up pattern. I'll show you what it looks like so you can see the cover. This is called Notre Dame Alphabets and Joyeux Noël. So that's that one. This includes 2 patterns. Here's the chart for this exquisite antique that I've called Notre Dame Alphabets because it was stitched by a little girl at the Convent of Our Lady in France somewhere in 1886. It contains some of the most beautiful alphabets that I've ever seen. This floral alphabet in the middle is just stunning. So I kind of thought that even if people didn't want to stitch the whole thing, it's such a wonderful reference piece for being able to use alphabets to personalize your own work. And I thought to show you how to do that, I would include a little pattern that I used from elements from it that I turned into a little Christmas piece that just says Joyeux Noël. I originally meant this to be a little pillow, but I had this frame that just about fit perfectly, so we squeezed it in there. Now, that also means that you have a J in this, like in a lot of antique alphabets. The floral alphabet in the middle doesn't have a J, so I wanted to include that one in there. Now, I've got to be careful with it. This is stitched. This is included as well. It's charted separately, so you can stitch that if you want to. This is stitched using cottage garden threads with the DMC conversion on 36 carat toasted mallow by number 12 Stitch Co, one of my favourite designs. If you did the humble sampler and you bought Nicola's lovely pattern, you might have a little bit extra that would be perfect for this. Yeah, I just thought I may not get a chance to do a lot of Christmas things this year, so I'm hoping this will get in early. That is included with the pattern as just a little bit of extra for you. And then the main star is this. Now, I have used the antique on the cover because I have had to do something a little bit different with this one. Because I have been unwell and I was actually not able to stitch for several months, which was very hard, as you can imagine. I started stitching a version of it. This is a Cottage Garden Threads conversion on Fox and Rabbit paperback. I had started stitching it and then I simply became too ill to continue, and I just loved the piece so much. I didn't want you guys to have to wait because it could be quite some time before I could finish such a big piece. So I have done something a little different. I've never done this before. I have charted it in DMC, but I have not stitched it fully myself. I will hope that you will forgive me. It is very carefully charted. It is charted exactly to the colours using DMC in that. And up on my blog, I will put Cottage Garden Threads conversion, overdye conversion, and silks conversion when various different types of silks when I can get to them. So I hope you can forgive me for doing that. I just didn't want you guys to have to wait. I thought it was such a special piece. And it was so very beautiful. I didn't want you to have to wait. So I hope you forgive me. It would be fantastic on, thing with this, you can do really different things with it. One of the things I love about alphabet samplers is they can look very modern and very graphic. If you do it on a bright fabric using bright threads, it's going to look extremely graphic and quite modern. If you want to do it on a really mottled fabric using paler overdyes and things, it's going to look more like the antique. So you can really play around and do something exciting with them. I will have Cottage Garden Thread conversions and a silk conversion available in my Etsy store when they're released after Marketplace. And I will have lots more pictures, including pictures of the back, which is, she really carried those threads in the middle, which is actually pretty similar. It's kept its colour quite well. There's a little bit of fading, and I have charted it to include the fading. So as you'll see in one of the brown alphabets up here, I've used 2 or 3 browns to show the fading. In the floral alphabet, some of that purple, it becomes pinker in some of the fading. So I have included that in my conversion. If you want it to be more uniform, just use the one brown for that one, make them all purple. You know how it is. You can make it a little bit more uniform if that's what you would like. Again, I shall hopefully have a longer talk about this at a different point, and I'll have lots more photos up on my blog for that. It was stitched originally in wools. I don't think it was actually framed. It looks like it has only been in the sun part of the time, so it's actually held its color quite well. And it is stitched like a lot of these old wool pieces on really, really fine, soft canvas, kind of like needlepoint tapestry canvas. Excuse me. Of a kind that we just don't get anymore. So that's why I don't do it in wools on canvas, because the kind of needlepoint canvases we have now are very, very stiff and very scratchy. And that I think, converting them to a linen or an Aida, that's all full crosses over too as well. So you can stitch that on anything. I think that works better. I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm trying to get through this in a way that hopefully makes sense. Okay, last but not least, I thought I had to do you another bird. Now, I had originally planned to do a different bird. I'm so excited you guys like my birds, because I've been squirreling away a few here and there. I just love them so much, and I hope you're not going to get sick of them, because there's more coming. Anyway, the one I planned to do for Marketplace was actually a much bigger bird. I have some really, really big ones coming up. Wait till you see. Anyway, in these beautiful fall colours, and it was just too big for me to be able to finish right now. And so I pulled out this one, and I think it worked out for the best, because it makes a wonderful trio with the two that we've done already. This one I have called Rosella Rests. This looks very similar to a bird that's actually that I see quite often, called a rosella, a crimson rosella. Now, these birds, these Berlin work birds, were stitched originally a lot in Europe and in England from patterns by people who had never actually seen the birds in person. So they changed a lot of the colours. So this one is not exactly the right colours for a crimson rosella. They're a lot brighter than that. But I kind of love how the original stitcher made this her own. So I've done what I've called an adaptation of this, because I'll show you the original in a minute. For those of you who remember from Among the Roses from last year, I had to make some colour changes just to make the design kind of work. Well, this one I've made even more. So I have called this an adaptation, because if you see, the original looks like this. Now, she's a big girl. And as you can see, she's stitched needlepoint, so it's completely stitched all the way in. She started off doing the background. I'm assuming it was she. We don't know, but we'll pretend. In a darker green in between, then ran out and went, oh well, I'll just have to finish it in brown. That happened a lot in these old needlepoint pieces. Now, if you want to stitch it on a dark green or a brown, by all means. Me, with my eyes, I didn't want to stitch it on a dark colour. And I just really wanted to make it harmonise really well with the two we've already got. So I have made a change. I've stitched this one on 32 count flax. I really love flax. I love the little flex and movement in there, but any kind of neutral. I've seen people stitch my birds on greens and browns and all sorts of things. You can stitch it on whatever you like. I would keep it fairly plain just so you can let those colours sing. But yeah, I wanted to make it a really nice trio with the others. Now, as you can see, let's see if we can hold them both together. They're a bit big. I think I've done a pretty good interpretation. There are a few changes. The original had, when I originally charted it, 44 colours. Now, for a piece this size, I thought that was a little unreasonable, because I'm trying to make it not only a harmonious design, but something that is achievable for you to stitch. And I thought, making you buy 44 colours is just not okay. So I have simplified the palette slightly. I think I got it down to 28. It still gives you a very similar impression, but I have simplified some of the colours as well, also to make it a little bit softer and a little bit harmonious, and to sort of keep the price down, because 44 colours is a lot. Now, I have stitched these 2/2. You can, of course, lots of people stitch them with 1 strand on higher counts, and I will be doing that for some of the bigger birds coming up. But it's 2/2 on 32 count. I used a selection of Weeks Gentle Arts Classic Colourworks. Now, again, that's 28 colours. Some of them are used a lot more than others. So feel free to use what you have in stash and swap out the rest for DMC. Or if you just wanted to buy a couple of colours, I would buy the greens. Particularly these 2 leaves here are almost a single colour. So having that movement in there from the overdyes is particularly nice. I think that's corn silk. I think that's chamomile. Check the pattern though, because my brain's tired. I have removed, these needlework, needlepoint pieces take a lot of ripping out and trying colours again. That's why I use the 32 count and the Zweigart, because it can stand up to me ripping things out constantly. It's really tricky. I will be doing a series of videos as soon as I can about how I do reproductions, because I get lots of questions and lots of people seem to have a very different idea of the process. So I would, if you're interested, I would love to show you sort of how I go about it. But these needlepoint pieces in particular take a lot of trial and error, because what I do is I take the original and I match colours to it exactly as I can see them on the original. But as soon as you start stitching, the colours that look absolutely right from the original, just the way sort of colour values work, colours are affected by what they are placed next to, how you perceive them. So a colour that may look exactly right, once it's stitched next to a different colour, looks all wrong. So it's a lot of taking things out and playing and having a go. I think I've done pretty well with this. There's still a little bit more tweaking I would have liked to do, but I think I'm pretty happy. Forgive me, I did want to, this has got 6 blues just in the tail, and I was thinking about cutting it down to 3 and just kind of repeating them, but I just love that pop of blue and I couldn't bear to part with it, so I hope you forgive me for that. I was so pleased with how this came out. I love the movement in these leaves. It looks like it's swaying and moving in the breeze, and I thought he was sitting there just so calmly, and maybe it's just because I'm thinking about resting. I call it Rosella Rests. I hope you enjoy stitching the new bird, and again, tag me in all your finishes and all your progress pics, because I love just cheering you on, and I promise to be more on Instagram going forward. Like I said, it's been a bit of a rough patch, but we shall get there. So they are the new marketplace releases. That is this weekend. Actually, no, it starts tomorrow. Time frame is quite different from Australia, so I've got to try and keep track. The time frame, I believe, it starts tomorrow. So a big thank you for everyone who's asked your store to get in copies. I hope you enjoy stitching them. Again, the PDFs and the hard copies will be available in my Etsy store in about a month. That's just how these work. The marketplace registered stores get them first. So for PDF stitches, my apologies, they are coming. That's just how this has to work, unfortunately. But the PDFs will be available. I feel like I've talked a mile a minute. That was probably not good. I hope this makes sense. It's really nice to be back with you. I will hopefully come back with a slower pace video when I haven't got quite so much to do, and probably after I've moved in a few weeks with, yeah, we can have more of a chat. I have missed you. I hope you are all well. I hope you are happy stitching. I hope you are excited about all the designers' new releases. It's so amazing. I have to stop looking because I just get so intimidated. I can't deal. So, and a big thank you to all the shop owners who are participating as well. Please be patient with them. I don't know, like it's such a lot of work for them to deal with all the pre-orders and all of that. It's really a lot. So it's really, really exciting. And thank you again to Bobby for putting on such a wonderful opportunity for us designers. And good luck to Lisa debuting there. Thank you to Teresa for such a wonderful retreat. Thank you to my sister for driving me and for bringing me coffee and food, even though we did forget my handbag. It's on the list for her to keep a track of next time. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye.